Henry himself heard an odd scratching at the front door. Expecting to find a stray dog or cat, he opened the door, but he was met with something totally different. Standing there was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. It had 3 legs, a squat body, 2 stubby arms, 2 pink eyes that shone bright like flashlights, and the little creature stood about 4.5 feet tall. It had a grayish hue to its skin, and it seemed determined to get in the house. Henry's heart was pounding as he slammed the door in panic, rushing to grab his .22 pistol and a flashlight. With adrenaline surging, he fired 4 times at the creature. Hey listeners, welcome to Dark and Divine Encounters. I'm your host, Denise Dodge, and in each episode, I will be guiding you through 2 real supernatural encounters. One is eerie and the other one is more uplifting. Life is a mix of trials and triumphs, and I've seen that the paranormal is no different. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and follow us on social media for updates. New episodes drop every Wednesday until the season ends. Share this podcast with people that you know who love scary stories, spiritual lore, and anything unexplained. Please note, this podcast features stories of paranormal activity and true crime, which may contain details or descriptions of events that are unsettling or triggering for some listeners. So take care of your needs first and always. Today, for our dark segment, we're going to take you to Enfield, Illinois, where whispers of a chilling cryptid are haunting the town. Earlier in the season, we talked about the Enfield poltergeist, and I just want to specify that this is a completely different story so that there's no confusion. This mysterious creature has been the subject of sightings and folklore, sparking fear and fascination among locals. Do you believe in cryptids, or have you ever encountered one? For our divine segment, we're going to hear about Jacob Dibert's extraordinary dream that led him to find lost children. This incredible story highlights the powers of dreams and intuition as Jacob's vision turned into a real-life rescue mission, showcasing the potential for hope and guidance in our dreams. In the early 1970s, the quiet town of Enfield, Illinois found itself host to a new terror. Already a land of eerie tales, which included mysterious lights, phantom black panthers, and even the legendary Thunderbird, Enfield was soon haunted by something far more bizarre. On the night of April 25th, 1973, Henry McDaniel became one of the first to come face to face with this unsettling anomaly, the Enfield Horror. Let's start with this strange encounter of Henry McDaniel. Around 9:30 at night on April 25th, Henry McDaniel and his wife came home, and they were greeted by their children, Little and Henry Jr. However, the kids had really wide eyes and quickly, eagerly shared a really strange story. They explained that something had tried to scratch its way into the house. Not long after, Henry himself heard a really odd scratching sound at the front door. Expecting to find a stray dog or cat, he opened the door only to be met with something entirely different. Standing there was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. There were 3 legs, a squat body, 2 stubby arms, and 2 pink eyes that shined out like flashlights. The being stood about 4.5 feet tall, and its skin was a gray hue, and it seemed very determined to find its way inside. Henry's heart was pounding, and he slammed the door in a panic. He rushed to grab his .22 pistol and a flashlight. With adrenaline surging, he fired 4 times at the creature. He said, "When I fired that first shot, I know I hit it." The strange being let out a huge hiss sound, a sound like a really angry wild cat, and it bounced away in great leaps, covering the yard in mere moments before vanishing towards the nearby railroad tracks and trees. Henry stood there watching, stunned, as the creature disappeared, swearing that he saw it leap 50 feet in 3 jumps. He was so shaken, and he immediately called the police. When the state troopers arrived to investigate, they discovered really deep scratches on the side of the house, along with unusual footprints. The tracks resembled something like a dog, but it had 6 toes instead of 4, and 2 of the prints measured 4 inches wide, while the third was a little bit smaller. The evidence left behind seemed to confirm Henry's terrifying encounter. Many on the police force doubted Henry McDaniel's story, even though just 30 minutes earlier, a young boy had reported being attacked. The mysterious creature had clawed at the child's clothes with its short arms, and the sharp talons on its feet had shredded the boy's shoes. Despite these alarming reports, the police found no trace of the strange entity, supposedly. After this interaction, things in the town seemed to settle down. That is, until the early hours of May 6th. Around 3 a.m., Henry was abruptly awakened by the sound of his neighbor's dogs in a total uproar. And to his shock, there it was again. Once again, Henry spotted the creature lingering near the train tracks. He watched it for several minutes as it stood there loitering, and he thought to himself how he was going to grasp it. Hey listeners, are you ready to turn your home into a smart home? With Eufy, you can join over 9 million families worldwide who trust Eufy for top-notch smart home technology. They believe great products should be thoughtfully designed to meet your needs. At Eufy, they care about more than just functional performance. Their intuitive human-first technology seamlessly integrates into your life, helping you focus on what truly matters. Plus, with hassle-free warranty, a 30-day money-back guarantee, free shipping, and a lifetime customer service, you can have peace of mind for you and your family. If you want to support our podcast while enjoying an amazing smart home product, click on my affiliate link to shop at Eufy. The link is in my show description. Your purchase helps keep our show running. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and invite your friends and family to listen to our podcast too. Thank you so much. Once again, Henry spotted the creature lingering near the train tracks. He watched for several minutes as it loitered, and he prepared to grasp it, until it bounced away into the darkness. Reflecting on the encounter, Henry later said, "I saw something moving on the railroad track, just standing there. I didn't shoot or anything. It just wandered down the track, not in a hurry." But by then, word of the Enfield Horror had spread, and curious people began pouring into the small town, hoping to get a glimpse of the strange visitor. The excitement was undeniable, but it also brought chaos. The influx of people got so out of hand that Sheriff Roy Posher Jr. warned Henry to keep quiet about his sightings or risk being thrown into jail. Over the next few months, the crowds swelled, raising concerns among the townspeople. Some came as true monster hunters, while others were thrill seekers with guns, ready to shoot at anything that moved. The sheriff's hand was forced when he had to arrest 5 armed hunters for firing at a gray thing running through the woods. Among those hunters were Mike Mogul and Roger Tappy, both from Elwood, Indiana, who swore that they had seen a gray monkey, their words, a gray monkey darting through the underbush. Despite numerous threats from Sheriff Poshard, Henry McDaniel stood firm. He was convinced that something bizarre was indeed happening, and after the initial frenzy of hunters and tourists died down, 4 more individuals claimed to have seen the Enfield Horror themselves. Next, let's visit the Rick Rainbow encounter. On Sunday, May 6th, Rick Rainbow, the director of radio station WWKI in Kokomo, Indiana, was out searching an area with 3 friends when they had an unexpected encounter. They spotted a figure. They said it was about 5 feet tall, gray, hunched over, running through the woods near an abandoned house that was not very far from McDaniel's home. The creature moved with an unnatural swiftness, and it vanished before their very eyes. And though the sighting was brief, Rick Rainbow claimed that he managed to capture the creature's eerie shriek on his tape recorder. World-renowned cryptozoologist Loren Coleman even visited Enfield to investigate, listening to the recorded cries himself. Despite the buzz surrounding these sightings, the attention eventually faded. The mysterious being has not made another appearance since. And reflecting on his experience, Loren shared with the press. His words were, "I traveled to Enfield, interviewed the witnesses, examined the damage to the house sighting left by the Enfield monster, heard some strange banshee-like screeching sounds, and left feeling utterly bewildered." Last but not least is the Mount Vernon creature. From 1941 to 1942, the small village of Mount Vernon experienced a wave of eerie sightings that bore a striking resemblance to those that were later reported in Enfield. So this is going back before the Enfield Horror started. But it's close by. So it was only Enfield and Mount Vernon are about 40 miles away from each other. During this time, a strange leaping creature was terrorizing the Mount Vernon community, leaving behind a trail of mutilated animals and really scared, frightened townsfolk. Locals were calling it the Mount Vernon monster, describing the creature as having an almost baboon-like appearance and having an incredible ability to leap distances of 20 to 40 feet in a single bound. Many likened it more to the devil monkey than the Enfield Horror, but some couldn't shake the feeling that these strange visitors were actually one and the same. Some locals insisted it was nothing more than an escaped ape or a runaway kangaroo, and many residents from nearby areas called in to back up those claims. In fact, one man from Ohio contacted the authorities, convinced that what people were seeing was his missing kangaroo named Macy. And yet, despite all the explanations, many locals still believe that there's something unknown prowling the woods around Enfield. Whether it's just a misplaced ape, since sightings have been documented in the area, or something far more sinister, it's still a mystery. So if you ever find yourself in Enfield, Illinois, keep your eyes open. You might catch a glimpse of the unknown. You've just heard a chilling tale about the Enfield, Illinois cryptid, a reminder of the darker side of the unexplained. But here at Dark and Divine Encounters, we know that not all unexplained experiences are filled with disturbing cryptids. Sometimes they bring hope. So let's shift our focus from the shadows. Our next story will uplift your spirit as we recount Jacob Dibert's dream of finding lost children. It highlights the beauty and guidance that can come from our inner selves, proving that the unexplained can also lead to miraculous and positive outcomes. A really beautiful ballad that I'm going to encourage you to go listen to once this episode is all done is Alison Krauss's rendition of Jacob's Dream. This poignant song draws inspiration from a haunting true story known as The Lost Boys of the Alleghenies, weaving together themes of love, loss, and the search of hope in the midst of tragedy. At the heart of this tale lies Jacob Dibert's unsettling dream, a mystical experience that adds a layer of depth to the already profound narrative. Many souls have felt the lingering presence of this story as the echoes of the past continue to resonate in the memories of those who remember. In the tranquil setting of Spruce Hollow, nestled on Blue Knob Mountain in Bedford County, a family named the Coxes once thrived. Blue Knob was part of a beautiful Allegheny Mountains in Pennsylvania, and this served as their home, the place where nature's beauty and familial bonds intertwined. Samuel and Susanna Cox were blessed with multiple children. Their simple cabin sat on a modest farm where Samuel dedicated his days to farming and hunting, while Susanna nurtured their children and assisted with the farm's tasks. On a crisp morning in early spring in 1856, Samuel shared his plans during breakfast. He intended to go hunting for squirrels. The excitement sparked in George's eyes as he asked if he and Joseph could join him. George and Joseph are two of their boys. Their hearts danced at the thought of adding more squirrel tails to their growing collection. However, Samuel gently explained that the weather was too damp and foggy for their little ones, and the boys reluctantly returned to their chores in the barn. Lunchtime came, and Samuel returned home. However, he came home to realize that he hadn't seen the boys since breakfast. He felt concerned and he asked Susanna to call for them, but when they didn't respond, Samuel ventured down to the barn, only to find it empty. He suspected that they had followed him earlier, eager to gather more tails. He grew very anxious, and the couple started searching everywhere for the boys. Their voices were strained from calling out their names. As hours slipped by, the unease in their hearts got deeper. Samuel set out to a nearby farm to ask for help, and as the church bells tolled in the quaint village of Pavia, news spread quickly that the two boys were lost on Blue Knob. By late afternoon, 100 kind-hearted souls were gathered. They had their lanterns in hand, ready to assist in the search. And despite all of their efforts, night fell without finding the boys. As dawn broke, over 1,000 people, some traveling from as far as Maryland, joined the search. Yet they fell into a tragic assumption that the boys had not crossed Bob's Creek, swollen from the spring runoff, leading them to focus their efforts on the near or west side. Days turned into 10 long days, arduous days full of searching, and still George and Joseph remained missing. In their desperation, the Coxes sought the guidance of a dowser and a witch, hoping for miracles, but neither one of them could provide the answers that they were searching for. Frustration mounted among the searchers, and soon unfounded rumors began to swirl. Some whispers that the Coxes had harmed their own son, leading to a misguided act of digging through the floorboards of their humble cabin and disturbing the earth around their farm in search of clues. But despite all of this, no one found anything. Even more troubling rumors were surfacing, suggesting that outsiders like foreigners or Catholics or Masons had kidnapped the boys and started weaving a web of fear and misunderstanding. Yet, amid the darkness, the spirit of the community shone brightly as they continued to seek for the truth. They were all at least united in their care for the lost boys. Jacob Dibert was a man who lived 12 miles away from the Cox family. He had been unable to join the search due to an injury. One night, he experienced a very vivid dream, and it transported him to a very specific spot on Blue Knob, one that he had visited before. He woke up, completely shaken in a cold sweat. He shared the unsettling vision with his wife, Sarah, and to his surprise, she also recognized the area. It was close to her childhood home and not far from the Cox farm. Despite their mutual understanding, they decided to keep the dream to themselves because they were very concerned that others might treat Jacob like he was a witch. However, when the same dream visited him 2 consecutive nights, Jacob and Sarah felt compelled to confide in her brother, Harrison Wysong, who still resided on the family farm. Jacob shared the details of the dream with Harrison. He said, "I dreamed that I joined the search party, but that I strayed away from the group. I came upon a creek and I crossed it. I followed a small path and I discovered a dead, bloated deer. Then I spotted a little boy's shoe, and further up, I saw a junction where 2 streams came together in a hollow of an old birch tree. That's where I found the boys, and I sensed that they were no longer with us. Harrison, recognizing the place that Jacob described, offered to venture there himself. Hey listeners, whether you're jetting off to explore a new city or rediscovering the hidden gems in your own backyard, I've got the perfect tip for you. Check out Viator, a TripAdvisor company for amazing deals on tickets to experiences, attractions, landmarks, and activities all over the globe. Imagine snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef, touring historic castles in Europe, or even taking a thrilling ghost tour right at home at a discount. Viator has it all and at reduced prices. You might even find tickets to visit the incredible places that we talk about right here on Dark and Divine Encounters. So why wait? Dive into your next adventure with Viator and make every trip unforgettable. Click my affiliate link in the show notes to get started and support Dark and Divine Encounters while you're at it. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and invite your friends and family to listen to our podcast too. Thank you so much. Harrison, recognizing the place that Jacob had described, offered to venture there himself. He followed the path and he soon came along a fallen tree that had served as a natural bridge. It allowed him to cross the creek without getting too wet. As he continued, he found the dead deer, and he noticed the small shoe partially hidden among the leaves, which he very carefully picked up. He continued on the path, and that's where he found the familiar junction of the two streams. He walked towards the hollow of the dead birch tree, and there, time seemed to stand still as he froze in place, because in the hollow, he saw George sitting propped up against the tree, and while his brother laid on the ground with his head resting gently on George's lap. The heart-wrenching realization washed over him. It had been 2 weeks since the boys had gone missing. Once again, the shadows of misunderstanding loomed over the community, leading to accusations against Weisong and Dibert regarding the boys' untimely passing. Fortunately, both men were exonerated of these claims. George and Joseph were laid to rest side by side in a single grave at Mount Union Cemetery in the quaint community of Lovely, which is nestled at the base of Spruce Hollow. For many years, the Cox family would gather for picnics near the place where the boys were discovered, and Weisong would often join in these gatherings, sharing the tale of Jacob's dream with those who would come to listen. On the 50th anniversary of the boys' passing, a monument was erected at the original site to honor their memory. This initial tribute was later relocated to Mount Union Cemetery, where a new statue was placed on Blue Knob Mountain, eventually moved to a more accessible location. Some believe that the lingering presence of the boys inspired the move. Over the years, visitors to the area where the old birch tree once stood have reported experiencing curious occurrences. It was as if the spirit of the boys still watched over the beloved woodland. Many witnesses heard laughter in the area. Others heard footsteps around the original monument. More recently, voices and steps have been recorded in the area. Some who have experienced this have refused to return to the spot from fear alone. Photographs have been taken and they've reflected mists that swirl and lights that dance across the pictures. Jacob Dibert's dream could not have saved the boys. It was determined that the boys died 2 days before they were found, which meant Jacob's first dream occurred on the night that they died. He and his wife always felt that God sent the dream vision to him. This story is double heartbreaking because if the searchers had just crossed Bob's Creek, they most likely would have found the boys alive. Samuel and Savannah lived the rest of their lives in Spruce Hollow. They had more children and their descendants still live in the area. Samuel and Savannah are buried near the boys at Mount Union. Jacob Dibert served in the Union Army during the Civil War. Unfortunately, he died of dysentery at the Point of Rocks in Virginia in 1864. He passed his second sight to his son Isaac Dibert, who in 1887 dreamed about the location of a woman from Pavia, Sidney Griffin. who had become lost in an area known as Cedar Swamps. The searchers could not find her, but Isaac, after his dream, was able to lead them to her, and they were able to find her alive. Psychic dreams are a fascinating experience that many people have. They offer insight, they offer warnings, and sometimes glimpses into the future. These dreams can connect our subconscious with a deeper level of understanding, revealing intuitive knowledge that everyone has within them. While some might brush off these dreams as mere coincidence, they can actually provide valuable guidance about us and the world around us. The great news is that everyone has the potential to tap into these psychic dreams. It just takes being open to the possibility and paying attention to what our dreams might be telling us. To unlock this hidden ability, we need to be brave and willing to listen to our intuition. This can start by creating a calm environment that encourages self-reflection, and it helps us connect with our inner selves. Keep a dream journal and document those dreams. Notice patterns or recurring themes. They'll help you understand where you're at in life and maybe give you some insight as to what direction to go. By embracing these mysteries of our dreams and being receptive to their messages, we can enhance our intuition and navigate life with more clarity and confidence. Ultimately, trusting ourselves and the wisdom within us can empower us to live a more authentically and purposeful life. We want to hear your own paranormal experiences. Have you had an encounter with a spirit or experienced something that you just cannot explain? Send your experiences our way. You might hear them featured in an upcoming episode. You can reach out via email, social media, or through our website. And if you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, my donation links are in the show description, along with a link to the show notes if you would like more details about today's topics. Your support helps us keep exploring real paranormal and unexplained encounters together. Share this podcast with people you know who love scary stories, spiritual lore, and anything unexplained. And that brings us to the end of the episode today. We've balanced the scales, the paranormal, revealing both the unsettling and the uplifting. Thank you for listening to Dark and Divine Encounters. Until next time, tread lightly but fearlessly.